gypsy fortune teller told me that we've been deceived. You only are what you believe. I believe the war is over. It's over. It's over.
My name is Sindoni, and thank you for tuning in to the New World Order Revealed broadcast. What I am about to share with you is a story that began in the month of September in the year 1998. As I recall, it was the first week of September, the Labor Day weekend. I was living in Newark, New Jersey at the time. It was the Labor Day weekend, so I decided to take a 3-day drive up to Montreal, Canada. Little did I know that this 3-day vacation up to Montreal, Canada would change my entire life. I arrived at the Broussard Motel around 10 p.m. in the evening. After checking in the motel, I showered, shaved, and headed into the city of Montreal for the evening. I then went to a nightclub called the Wax Lounge on trendy St. Laurent Street. I ordered a glass of white wine and listened to a rhythm and blues band. After the band had finished their set, I started to feel a little bit tired. I then walked back in the rain to my car. As I drove off, I noticed the Montreal police had set up a roadblock. The police were doing a sobriety check. As I approached the officers, I remember the officers asking me a few questions. I answered the questions, and then they waved me through the roadblock. I then turned left onto a side street and drove about 4 blocks. Out of nowhere, an unmarked Ford Aerostar van forced my car over to the curb. A man dressed in a military uniform approaches the car. I now roll down my driver's side window. The man calls out an Islamic name as though he was expecting me. At this point, I recognized that this was a case of mistaken identity. The man now asked, "Are you Muslim?" "No, I'm an American." "Who are you and what do you want with me?" I answered. I could now see a second man walk over to my passenger window holding an automatic weapon. The man with the gun was watching my every movement. The man in the military uniform now flashes a light into my car. He then asked to see my identification. I calmly answered absolutely and stepped out of the car. I pulled the wallet out of my back pocket and then I told the man, "Here's my identification, but I won't show you mine until I can see yours first." Annoyed by my request, he reluctantly showed me his identification. Observing his identification, it revealed a photo and showed that he was a member of the Mossad secret intelligence organization. I then showed the man my identification. After checking my identification, the man asked if he could search my car. While the men were searching my car, I asked, "What are you looking for?" The man answered, "We are looking for explosives." For the next couple of minutes, both men searched my car and found nothing. The man in the military uniform who was holding my identification handed me back my driver's license. He then told me that I was free to go. I could not believe what had just taken place on a dark, secluded Montreal street at 2 o'clock in the morning in the pouring rain. I then returned to the Broussard Motel, where I got very little sleep until the following morning. I then checked out of the Broussard Motel and drove back to the U.S. border. I got out of my car at the U.S. border and told my story to the Border Patrol officers. I then got back in my car and drove back to New Jersey. During the long ride home, I had time to reflect, and I wondered who these men were and what they were really doing. I would have to wait 3 years before I discovered who these men really were. You have been listening to part 1 of the New World Order Revealed.